what was the turning point, and what made you change your professional course of life and, you know, come into this social work and humanitarian work that you're doing right now?
Okay. Well, I think everybody finds this rather intriguing, but I'm asked this question a lot of times. And well, I don't know really. It didn't happen suddenly. I can tell you that. It took some time for me to understand. And yes, and I was doing many projects for corporate sector. Suddenly I'd got into that, how should I say, you achieve a certain status in your profession that everybody wants you. And so that happened with me. But it was all about, very wealthy clients and corporate sector, which has money, no object, and all the rest of it. And I got very good chances with the, mega companies such as the Pakistan State Oil, which I believe was, one of Fortune, I don't know, 500 companies, and so all the rest of it. And then the ABN AMRO Bank was an international bank, and so on and so forth. And of course, they all wanted to leave a mark. And so did I, really, as an architect. That's what I'd been trained for, that when you design something, it must be iconic, it must be impressive, it must be, I don't know, whatever. And so I kept on doing it. I mean, for at least for 10 years or 15, this is what I was doing. And a time came when I felt that although each design was different, because of course, if you're a creative architect, that's what you must do. But basically, it was the same kind of approach. And it just like you're churning out something that really, how many times can you make these beautiful buildings? I mean, it just somehow seemed rather superfluous finally in the context of things. And I'd done a couple of books by that time, and my husband had sold his insurance company, and he had become a writer and a great, he'd become a historian. And I think I envied him, and I said, well, how come that he's kind of writing and I'm unnecessarily stuck in this kind of, trying to please my corporate clients. And sometimes they were, and sometimes I had to have, real good fights with them. And it just, it was just, I thought, it's not fair. So I decided that I will give up and start writing my books. But then Caravan Karachi happened. We managed to revive historic architecture of Karachi. Then UNESCO took me to Lahore, and I had this amazing experience learning about lime and everything. And as you know, Atifa, the earthquake happened. That's what brought, basically yourself and myself together. And
that's true.
Yeah.
The 2005 earthquake that happened in Pakistan, which nearly 75,000 people lost their lives.
Yeah, it was the most devastating one. And I think all of us felt that we had to go and do something. I think every Pakistani, and I think many people from around the world felt that this was the time to go and help. And I think we never had that, at least I have not seen that kind of spirit of nationalism that emerged at the time. And I had no idea about this kind of work, humanitarian. I never heard of humanitarian work. I mean, architects were not supposed to do something like that. You're not supposed to be dabbling in, stuff, trying to help people in doing something. You were always there to impose what you wanted, But like everybody else, I think I felt I had to go there. And so I did. And by that time, I'd closed up my office. It was gone. I was moved to Lahore. I'd never done humanitarian work. I had no funding, and it was like a foolish thing to do. And I was quite old at that time even, and to try to go up to a mountainous place where I'd never been, it seemed like a far cry. But I felt, no, I felt I just had to go and do something. I didn't know what yet. So I arrived with my husband sort of saying, oh, all right, if you want to go, well, 500,000 is all that is. And he thought, well, I'll come back in a month or something, and that'll be it, So I went along, and Atifa, what was amazing was that you feel that you're going by yourself, but soon you're not alone. I mean, with humanitarian work, that's the most amazing experience that you have. That you are there, and suddenly all kind of people start offering you help. I mean, I'd never experienced that in my life before. So I arrived on this place in Mansifal. First is Islamabad, and then I've tried to find out what could be done. If I found that the army was in charge, that there were these generals sitting there, and for some reason I was invited to some briefing by President Musharraf, which was for humanitarian work. I mean, I'd never run any work of that kind, but I was also invited for some reason. And then there were lots of questions, and I kept on raising my hand, but nobody listened to me. Then finally, the last question, I said, I've got to say. And I said, you've got to do the right thing now. We can't do concrete and everything else. We mustn't do that. We must work with the materials that are there and go for vernacular construction. So then they said, okay, you go and see General Nadeem. So I go and see General Nadeem, who was the in charge person at the time. And he says, but yes, madam, so you want to do something. So what is the special material you're going to use? I said, I don't know about special material, but I want to use lime rather than cement. He said, oh, that's a very novel idea. I said, yeah, the Mughals have been using it, for 500 years ago. And yes, it's very new now, but it's there. So anyhow, that's how it got started. And then so much help came, I cannot tell you. And then, of course, what Nokia did is history. Atifa and Nokia joined in, and they were the best partners I could have.
Thank you for that.